Welcome, everybody. This is the Executive Coaching Special Interest Group that is part of ICF Los Angeles. We've been meeting for 7 years. We talk about executive coaching as anything with a triangle: the coach, the client, and then the sponsor, the company, the HR person, the manager, whatever. That triangle creates executive coaching or corporate coaching, and that's what we talk about here. We know that our norms, for those of you who are here for the first time, our norms are that we know that we're a public group, we're being recorded and so on. We are mute in this big room, but we don't stay on mute. We jump off mute and we talk over each other. We throw in ideas, questions, comments. We pay attention to our videos, since that's how we make a living. So we pay attention to that. Another thing we do that's been just so great is to say to people, if you are here for the first time today, would you raise your electronic hand, and we're going to ask you to just tell us something really briefly. We'd love to say hello and welcome you. So if you're here for the first time, let us know. Great. We have 2. So, and by the way, maybe we have more. If we do, please just keep coming. So Sarah and Judith, oh, great. And Nick, fantastic. Welcome. Would you just tell us your best part of your summer, your name, where you sit, and your best part of your summer? Sarah, I'm going to start with you. Thanks.
I'd be happy to. Sure. Nice to meet everyone. I'm happy to be here. My best part of my summer, I was visiting my family in Atlanta. My kids and I were visiting my family in Atlanta. We were all prepared to come back to Los Angeles. I'm in Encino. And the CrowdStrike event happened.
Oh,
Familiar
no.
with that. And well, for most people, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, for most people, it was a real difficult time. For us, it meant we got to spend another week with my parents. So
Nice.
for us, it turned out really well. So that was the best.
Wow, what a story. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you're safe and welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Judith, welcome.
Thank you. Well, it's my first time joining a webinar from ICF Los Angeles. I am from the Netherlands, but I live in Peru and for 18 years now. And my summer, it was in November, December, was very nice because my brother and sister-in-law were visiting me. And we had a great time here. It was really nice.
I bet. Nice to see family. So welcome. I would love to know, how did you find us, Judith?
Well, I'm a member of ICF.
ICF LA specifically?
No, the global, well, from the chapter Peru, but I'm always checking all webinars from ICF and which in in the American time zone. So
great.
yeah, I am trying to join what I can just to further broaden my knowledge.
Wonderful. I'm so glad you found us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nick, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Goodyear. I'm new to ICF LA. I'm actually relatively new to LA. I moved down here from Oakland about in the fall of last year. Wow. And the best part of my summer has just been, I've been joking with people, I have a case of chronic vacationitis because I live here in Santa Monica. And the highlight has been to just enjoy a summertime so close to the beach. So it seems like a cop-out, but it's a very blessed life that I've been able to enjoy. So thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Well, welcome to Southern California. Welcome to the meeting today. Glad to have you. So good. Sue-Ann, Hi.
Hi, I'm in Sacramento. Actually, I'm in an excerpt, Elk Grove.
Okay.
Sacramento County, and I'm a member of ICF Sacramento, but I'm also a member of ICF LA.
Yay, that's
so
terrific,
I joined because during COVID and people couldn't go out. You guys had some good training.
Thanks.
So
yeah, we have. And did you have a good summer? What was the best part?
I don't think you want to hear about how my summer.
Oh,
Well, the best part is my son got home from the Middle East fine. And he
ooh,
wasn't in the war. He had previously had a business meeting set up. And so when it all started, I texted him and said, I guess you're not going down. He said, oh, Mama, I've been here a week. I'll
wow.
see you next week. And he went to college in Egypt. And so he had people in that part of the country that he was doing business with. So he's home and healthy.
I'm glad. Good. I'm glad he's safe, and it sounds scary, so I'm
Yeah,
glad it worked out okay.
he tells me I can't go anywhere, but he can go everywhere in the world.
Wow. Well, I am glad you are with us today. Thank you for that, and welcome. Roland,
Yeah,
welcome
hello
to you.
everyone. So I just joined ICFLA last week actually, and I saw the the events. I went to the event schedule. So this is my first webinar or seminar. So
Fantastic.
yeah, so I'm
Yay.
excited. And also I just started my training with Damian Golver. I think some of you
Great.
know him. Yeah.
Sure. Yes,
So
of course.
that's a 20-week coach certification program. So the highlight of my summer, I had never been in Colombia. So I was there for almost the whole month of June, and I loved it.
Nice.
I mean, the music, the
Nice.
people, the food, the topography, the history, the culture. I mean, you name it.
Oh,
And I happen to have friends there. Went to Bogota, Cartagena, and Medellin. So
Nice.
it was an amazing trip.
I am so glad for you. And thanks for just like jumping in with both feet. Like, welcome.
Sounds good.
Galen, hi, we've already heard from you a little bit, but hi, welcome. You're gonna unmute for us?
Well,
Galen?
you already heard from me, so I just figured you'd
No,
just
we want to
continue to
say
the next
welcome.
one.
No.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we'd love to know where you are and what was the best part of your summer. Oh, the
Oh,
retreat.
well,
But keep
again,
going.
Seattle, the retreat in Port Townsend, a little bit above there. Yeah. I don't think I want to go too much more in depth with it, but
Sure.
it was with a new group of people I'd never met before, and just everybody was so courageous and ready to do the work that there was an amazing bonding that happened there, and it's really powerful when you can do that with a group of 15 or 16 people.
Who started as strangers.
Yeah,
Wow, isn't that amazing? I'm so glad for you. Wow.
thank you.
Welcome. Glad you're here. Walid.
Hello, good morning, everyone. This is Walid Mitwali. I live here in LA and I'm a member of ICFLA, so I always want to participate on this special interest group. But because of it's, I have like full-time job 9 to 5, so most of the time I have meetings at that time. So today, fortunately, like there is nothing important. There are meetings that I can skip, so I prefer to join you today. So thank
So
you
good.
for interesting topic. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go to Magda.
Thank you, Tom. Hi, everybody. My name is Magda. I live in LA. I'm new to this group, new to ICFLA, and new to coaching. So this has been something I've been wanting to do for a very long time. Recently graduated from UC Davis and really diving in into the world of coaching, and executive coaching is definitely one of my passions. So happy to be here. Thank you.
You bet. Magda. Oh, keep going.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, I
Keep
just
going.
wanted to say the highlight of the summer is swimming in the lake. So refreshing.
Which lake?
Lake Gregory and Crestline.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
actually heading back out there right after our webinar. So
Good. I hope it's not
Thank you.
baking up there.
I hope so.
I also just want to say that one of the things that I have grown to love about this community, Magda, is that there are many people like you who are just starting their training and development, and there are people who have been doing it for decades, and it's just a lovely community together. So welcome. I hope it's
I
helpful for you.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Chris.
Hi, Tom. Hi, everybody. Happy to join first time. Yeah, it's been a good summer for me, pretty good. I got to go on a kind of a trip that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and went to Kenya, which was pretty amazing.
Wow.
But along the way, I stopped in London. My wife has some work there, and was able to pass the ACC exam while I was there. So yeah,
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah, just stopping by. So that was kind of fun.
A lot happened to you this summer. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So yeah, relatively new to LA. I live downtown, and just starting to get more plugged into the community here. So
Again, welcome several people who are new to the area, new to the meetings. This is great. I want to tell you that we have one other person who's here for the first time, which is Dan Tabor, but I'm going to save Dan and do a different introduction. So I don't mean to tease you, but there we go. So this is our calendar of the year. We always start in February with a big conversation about what do we want to learn this year, and then we come up with topics, and the top 5 are what we do. Today we're at AI in coaching in your business. I just want to call out that next month is our pricing conversation, and the survey is live right now, and before the end of our session today, I will put the link in the chat. Please, if you can, fill out the survey and then join us on the 13th of September. By the way, somebody's not on mute at the moment and we're hearing a phone call. Thanks. Join us on the 13th where we share the information, and then the information will be up in our Google Shared Drive. Everybody will have access to it, but join us, it'll be great. Oop, somebody's still not on mute. So today, okay. So AI and coaching, Lori Tab mentions AI, the group goes crazy. We're all like, what? And what it kind of proved to me was, I think we're all in a different place in our journey about AI, both as our understanding of it, how we can use it in our coaching, how we can use it to help us run our business. So here's what we're going to do today. And it's a little bit different than what we've done in the past, which excites me. I'm going to hand over the meeting to Dan Tabor. I'm going to introduce him in just a minute. And Dan's going to talk to us for about 15 minutes about his thoughts about AI. Then we as coaches get to go into the breakout rooms, and we'll have 20 minutes to talk about whatever and learn from each other or ask questions of each other. And then we come back to this large group where we are right now, where we get to share what we know, ask the questions that didn't get answered, and we just talk together. So that is how we're going to run the day. And there'll be 4 people in your breakout rooms. That's the intention. So before I launch in, what questions do you have? What needs to get taken care of before I introduce Dan and turn it over to him? Okay, then. I am very excited. We have built this community over 7 years as a kind of self-directed learning community. And many times the feedback is, I wish someone were here who, was really senior, who could answer some of the tougher questions. Today we've got it. Yay. Dan Tabor, as I said, was part of the career coaching SIG last month. He's actually, by the way, an executive at Spotify who has an executive coach. Yay. So Dan is interested in coaching, is giving back to our community a second time to come here today to share his thoughts. And Dan has been thinking about AI, specifically responsible AI and safety, for a long time. That's what he does. So Dan, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for being here. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. I'm really excited to be presenting to this group. I do have a deck that I'm going to be sharing, if you give me 1 second. By the way, I think I might actually recognize a couple people from what I presented for Tiffany, so I apologize in advance to those people if you're hearing some of the same material, but hopefully it's still useful. Is everybody seeing my slides okay? Okay, great. So I'm basically going to be dividing this into 2 parts. First of all, I think it's really important to establish a foundation for what do we even mean when we say AI? Because reality is this is a term that gets thrown around a lot, and people use it to refer to different things. So I think it's really important to establish a shared understanding of what the term even means, especially in this day and age. And then I'll devote the second half to how AI already is affecting coaching and potentially could in the future. Tom already touched on this, but I've been working in the what's called the responsible AI space for several years now. I've spent the last few years split between Indeed and Spotify. And when I was in Indeed, I had launched a new program that was called AI Fix at the time, and is now known as Responsible AI. And the goal of this is basically to promote the use of AI and machine learning and other technologies in a way that's not going to negatively impact specific groups. And indeed, this often referenced not wanting AI or machine learning to potentially promote discrimination in hiring. At different companies, it can mean different things, but overall, it's kind of approaching AI from the perspective of being bullish on the technology, being supportive of it, while recognizing that there are potential harms that it can do, and wanting to acknowledge those and mitigate them while embracing the technology. So with that, again, what does it mean exactly when we say AI? The reality is, it just depends on who you ask. There's no consensus out there on a single definition. These are just 3 of a million different definitions that you could find out there on the internet. They're a little bit different from each other, but they all kind of revolve around the general idea of taking tasks that a human historically would have done that we thought only humans could do, and having a machine do them instead. So that's the general idea of what it means. One thing that I think is indisputable about AI, though, is that people definitely use it as a marketing term to sell stuff. And I think this is very important, because this is one thing I was actually very confused about when I first joined the tech industry. I was coming from academia, where I'd been doing research for many years. And I noticed that the way that AI was being used by many companies, it was basically taking the same tools that I had learned in graduate school and using them for just different things. And in graduate school, we wouldn't have called them AI, but companies were just calling them AI now. And it was no different. And in some cases, these are things that, I kid you not, you could do in a hand calculator. There was nothing sophisticated about them. And I think this has been increasingly recognized by the SEC, that's actually started to go after companies that are really overhyping AI. They use the term AI washing to describe financial companies that were really making misleading claims about how they were using AI in their investment platforms. It's actually become a serious issue that the government's starting to take seriously about how AI is being overhyped. With that said, not everything is hype, because in the last 24 months, we've really seen a fundamental shift in what AI actually means and what it's capable of doing. And it all started with the tool that we've all become familiar with, called ChatGPT. It was in November of 2022 when the company OpenAI released ChatGPT, which was a virtual agent designed to simulate human dialogue. And it does this using a technology called large language models, or LLMs, which is another term that's become pretty well known. These are computational models that learn to understand and generate text by just processing enormous amounts of language data that's available on the internet. When ChatGPT was first released, the irony is it actually wasn't a new technology. It had been around for a while. And if you read interviews with the creators of it, they were actually really surprised by how it went viral immediately, signing up about 1 million users in just 5 days. There was actually not much new about the technology, but something about the interface of ChatGPT really took hold of users. It went viral so quickly. And since then, you've seen a lot of tech companies produce a variety of similar assistants that go by different names, like Claude with Anthropic and Gemini from Google, as well as other generative AI tools like DALL-E. But again, this was really a fundamental shift in what AI actually means. And this is where I make the distinction between what I call traditional versus generative AI. Traditional AI, which is what I had learned more in graduate school, is typically designed to predict behavior or characteristics of users. And it usually does something very specific and narrow. And again, it uses methodologies, models that have been around for decades. An example of what this would look like back when I was working in Indeed, is a traditional AI or machine learning model might be used to predict whether you think somebody might be qualified for a job. So you're trying to predict a characteristic of somebody, but it's that very narrow and specific task that it's doing. Generative AI is fundamentally different because it's designed to create new content, whether that's text or visual or audio. It's much more versatile. It can handle an enormous range of tasks, and it's really using much newer technology that's improved exponentially in recent years. So this really is a total shift from what's historically been done and what historically AI would have referred to. So just to give some contrasting examples of what AI might have meant a few years ago versus what it means today, if you'd used the term in 2020, AI could have referred to tasks like screening resumes, like I said, for an HR tech company, or a company like Netflix would use traditional AI for recommending movies, or you could use traditional AI for finding pictures of cute cats like mine. Those are my actual cats, Cricket and Opal, that you see in that picture. So traditional AI tools could just look through an enormous library of photos and pick out which ones are the cutest cats. So again, it's a pretty narrow task that they'd be models historically would have been used for. Today, it's totally different though. When we say generative AI, again, it's about generating new content. So rather than screening through existing resumes, it's more about designing resumes. And rather than recommending movies, it could be potentially writing screenplays. And rather than picking out pictures of cute cats, it's actually creating pictures of cute cats. I've shown this picture to people and people actually debate if this is cute or not. So setting that aside, I actually did create this using the ChatGPT tool. Now, as generative AI grew in power and popularity over the last couple of years, it's really sparked a variety of reactions. There's been a lot of excitement for it, for sure. There was a report done by a visiting scholar at Google called The Economic Impact of Generative AI. And he compared it to previous general purpose technologies like the steam engine that just fundamentally changed society in all sorts of ways. He predicted that generative AI is going to change society to the same extent, except that the changes will probably happen a lot faster because of the ease of diffusion. So this is somebody who's very bullish on the impact that generative AI will have on society. There's also been a lot of amusement in the things that generative AI has put out. One thing that's been talked about a lot is the idea of hallucinations, which is when a generative AI tool says something that's factually wrong or in some cases just ridiculous. Like in this actual example, this is something that Google's AI overviews, which has become more common when you do a Google search. You'll see a summary at the top that was AI generated. And this is something that Google actually did put out where somebody was looking for recommendations on how to make cheese stick to pizza. And the recommendation from Google was to add some glue, mix an eighth cup of Elmer's glue in with the sauce, recommending non-toxic glue. Of course, this was an actual recommendation that Google made that was quickly corrected, but this is something that was put out. And there's been a lot of instances like this of generative AI producing just ridiculous content in some cases. And then there's been anger towards it as well, especially in the LA area, the entertainment industry. There was a lot of concern last year amid all the strikes about how AI is going to affect screenwriters and actors and the possibility of them being displaced, jobs being taken away, and also not knowing what content is AI generated versus what content is real. So there's a lot of concerns that different industries have towards AI. So you've seen this mixture of reactions over the last 24 months that there's really a spectrum of different kind of opinions that people have that I think are kind of summarized in these 3 books that have come out within the last 6 months or so. The one to the left, I'd say, is the most bullish. It's called Singularity is Near because it's a follow-up to a book called Singularity is Near, written by the same author years ago that predicted a lot of things about AI that turned out to be true. And this author is basically predicting that by the end of this decade, if not sooner, AI is going to be better than humans at everything. In the middle, you've got a book called Co-Intelligence that I've started to reference more. That's kind of in the middle, where overall it's pretty bullish on AI as well, but really focusing on how people can effectively integrate it into their lives. And then you've got another book that's actually yet to be released, but I've followed the authors a lot. It's called AI Snake Oil. And it acknowledges some valuable uses of AI, but also recognizes that a lot is overhyped and a lot of the applications are never going to work. So there's different opinions out there, but the reality is it's too early to know. And you're seeing this more and more just within recent weeks. I'm starting to see more news about, is there an AI bubble? Literally yesterday, I was listening to 2 companion podcasts about whether AI is overrated or underrated. I think this is something people are still figuring out. This LinkedIn post is by the author of that middle book, The Co-Intelligence. He wrote it just last month. This is somebody who's fairly optimistic about AI, but even he's acknowledging that although everybody's talking about it, for the most part, companies haven't really figured out how to use it, and most companies aren't actively using it. So when you see all the hype, it can really give you the misleading impression over how much people are actively using it. So that's kind of my overview of what AI is, and that'll transition into how AI could affect coaching. The big question obviously is, could AI ever replace coaches like it is for potentially could for other industries? This icon of Amy came from a company that is producing sort of an AI agent. I believe Coach Hub is the name of the company that's produced Amy as an AI agent to accompany coaching. And you're seeing different ways that AI agents are starting to be incorporated in the coaching industry. I've just been studying this for a few months now. And this one article I found that's cited at the bottom, I think usefully summarizes it. And there's kind of 3 different categories of ways that different companies are using AI for coaching. There's AI supported, which is using AI to gain insight into coaching needs and providing recommendations. This could be, for example, if you had a transcript from a coaching session, of being able to kind of scan the transcript and provide a summary of what was covered in it, and even potentially give some insights into things that the client may be dealing with. That would be an example of AI supported coaching. AI augmented is more when in between sessions, clients could potentially interact with an AI-based tool when they're not able to interact with the human coach. And then at the other end of the spectrum is AI as the coach, where the individual is only engaging with an AI agent. You're seeing different companies out there, and I'd say there's also kind of 2 categories of companies I've seen, as far as some of them are companies that first were coaching companies that have figured out how to incorporate AI into their work. And then there's sort of tech first companies that are catering to coaches as potential clients, and they may be more focused on the AI supported tasks. What the tools do can really vary by the type of product, but some examples could include like writing blogs or training modules for clients. I already mentioned the possibility of summarizing notes from client sessions and providing content to clients in between sessions, and also just helping with basic administrative tasks. These are just a few ways that currently I've seen coaches use AI, or companies advertise their services as being useful for coaches. But I think the breakout sessions could potentially generate more discussion over how AI can potentially be used in coaching. I definitely have my own thoughts, by the way, about how it's been most useful to me that I'm happy to share as we get further into that part of the session. Biggest thing I would stress, though, is that there's always concern about, is AI going to take jobs away? And I think I've seen this quote replicated in different places that I think summarizes it well, that Gen AI it's not going to completely take jobs away, but the people who know how to use it are going to take jobs from the people who don't know how to use it. So when I gave this talk a few weeks ago to another coaching group, there was definitely mixed opinions and mixed emotions towards how to utilize AI. But I think what I would encourage people is to at least get familiar with it, because the people who are more familiar with how these tools work and how you can best utilize them are really going to be in a better position going forward, especially as the tools evolve. I definitely recommend that book by Ethan Mollick called Co-Intelligence. And he summarizes 4 rules that are basically his recommendations to people on how to use AI. The first one he calls always invite AI to the table. And this basically references just identify all tasks that you do as part of your job, and just always think about how a tool, whether it's ChatGPT or one of the competitors like Claude, how could that potentially be utilized to do this particular task? Being that human in the loop represents that you don't want to entirely be dependent on AI. When you start using it, it's easy to get seduced by sort of the confidence that these tools have. Like they'll state something as a total fact with a lot of confidence, when in reality they do make a lot of mistakes. So you always want to be that human in the loop that's not taking everything at face value. He also recommends kind of treating AI like a person, but telling it what kind of person it is. And what this means is that it's a little bit different from how you would engage, say, with just doing a Google search query, where you can just put in kind of a bunch of words that don't even form a full sentence and you'll get pretty useful results. Whereas with these AI tools, it's better to really interact with it as though it is an actual person, but you tell it what kind of a person it is. Like, are you my travel agent and you need to plan a vacation for me? That's actually one of the first things that I did when I was experimenting with it. And I was planning a trip to Southeast Asia, and I was using ChatGPT to kind of give me tips, telling it what person it is and what kind of help you is, what kind of help you need can often generate better results. And then I think that last rule is really key, of assuming that this is the worst AI you'll ever use. It's easy to, when you get started, especially if you're using the free versions of ChatGPT, to see initial results. You may see that there are some mistakes and just not be that impressed. But first of all, there's enormous differences often between a free version and a paid version in terms of the quality of the output that you get. And also the quality is substantially improving over time. You know, it is possible we're hitting a point where it's starting to level off a little bit in terms of the rate of progress, but things are only going to keep getting better and better. So if you see some initial results that are a little bit underwhelming, it's important to keep that in mind, that this is going to be the worst it ever gets. So that's why it's good to start to experiment with it now, so that when it improves over time, you're already familiar with how it works. So with that, I'm going to pause my part. I did want to provide my contact info in case anybody wants to reach out to me. I'm very passionate about this topic. Like I said, I've already given talks on it a couple of times. I'm really interested in pursuing it more. LinkedIn is often the best place to reach out to me. But yeah, if anybody wants to talk about this topic, always happy to. With that, I will pause, stop sharing, and I guess pass it back to Tom.
Thank you so much. Wow, you've given us so much to talk about. Okay, listen, we are going to go directly into breakout rooms. You're going to be in there for 20 minutes. You get to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Yeah, Heidi's giving you the clap. Several people have all either giving you the clap. So yeah, thanks, Dan. That was fantastic. We'll be there for 20 minutes. Then we'll come back. Dan's going to stay with us. So after you come back, Dan will still be here and we'll do it. Susan, are we ready to rock and roll? I'm reading your lips. That says, I think you. Here we go. Thanks again. That was fantastic. Nina Rubin. I see Nina Rubin. Huh. You're muted, Susan, so I see you, but I don't know.
Nina, do you see your request? Okay, got it. And Heidi, what about you? Do you see your request?
Oh.
And somebody's just joining, so I'm gonna put them in a room. We have one with three, so we'll have
So
innovative coach who just joined us. Were you here before? Or are you just coming on right now? We're just going into breakout rooms, so wanted to let
he's
you
on
know.
an airplane, he says in the chat.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll put him in a room. Let's see what happens.
Sure. Good luck. And I'm guessing Nina's having trouble.
Looks like room. Okay, there we go. He's in there.
Work your magic, Susan.
Hi, apologies. I've had a work thing come up, so I've been not awesome here. So
No worries. Are you able to
or not? Or I can just jump off is fine, because I do AI every day. I don't necessarily need this.
Heidi, it's your call. It's your time. If you would like to hop off, you're welcome.
We'd love you to stick around, but if you want to hop off, it's up to you.
Oh, I think I'm fully present. I just have a very heated thing going on at work right now. So
Okay.
with the
Thanks
government.
for letting
So
us know.
I also needed to stay off camera for that purpose. So thanks for understanding, but feel free to throw me into a breakout session, or I can jump in one.
Okay, you do want to go in one?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, neat. Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Good job. Whew. That was a challenge today. Gee whiz.
Yeah, there's several groups of three, lots of threes. I think a lot of people just, as soon as you put them in rooms, they pop off. So it's fine.
True.
That was amazing, Dan.
Yeah,
Lots of great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great. Really great.
Was the time about right? I was trying to keep an eye on it.
It was fine. It's all fine. Absolutely.
Yeah, we have lots of wiggle room.
Yeah, lovely. Really helpful.
And Dan, you're welcome. If you want to go in a room, you can, or you can just stay here with us.
It's
up to you.
thinking it may be, so there's probably a lot of rooms, then it may be hard to bounce around from one room to the next. So
We can manage it. It's not hard. I mean, right, Susan? I mean, if you'd like to, can't we do that, Susan?
Yeah.
You could. Yeah, you can. Right? Because
I
you
don't know,
always have the option.
what's been your experience?
Well, if you go in, they'll probably have more questions for you, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
So
And you can leave the room, and
Yeah,
we'll
you can
know
leave
that
at
you
any
leave the
point.
room, right? So you can say, "Hey, I'm going to go to another room," which I do all the time, by the way. I just say to people, "I'm going to pop out," and then we'll see you, and we can throw you in another room.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
you want.
Sure. How do I?
All right, so I'll just put you in room 1, which has only 3 people.
And then if I wanted to
when
switch
you're
to a
ready,
different,
just say leave breakout room and it'll bring you back here. And then if we want to put you
Okay.
in another one, we will.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are we recording?
Yes,
Could
me
we-
pause. Welcome back, everybody.
I think of this as electronic popcorn. People popping on. It's coming in waves. Or maybe this is it. Is this us?
No, they're coming. 10 more seconds. Here they come.
Downstairs.
There we go.
Wow. Yes. Hello. Hello. How exciting.
That's everybody.
So as I say, Dan is still with us. We have no idea what you talked about in your room, what was interesting, helpful. It is our time to share with each other. Again, your responsibility is to stay on mute, but jump off mute, jump in, raise your hand, however you want to do it. It's our time to talk to each other. What do you want to share? What should we know about your breakout room? Or what questions do you have? Great. Hey, Kay, how you doing?
There, Tom. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge how grateful and appreciative I am of this SIG because it's in this community that we really learn so much. And Dan, thank you for that conversation that really set the foundation for the breakout room. I shared with my breakout room that I don't typically find discussions on AI very interesting. And I am so lit up today from both the presentation as well as the discussion we had, and I'm excited to be able to go on and try some of these things that, other coaches are using and have presented in terms of opportunities. And I will share that in my room, Hugo was our resident expert, and he shared even some alternatives to just, what we more commonly know. And everyone shared what experiences they had. Like Hugo shared Gravity Writing, Midjourney, Adobe. So it's just nice to understand and hear what's out there and how people are utilizing it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you. It's always great to see you. Roland, hi. What's up?
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Tom. And we had an amazing breakout room. Incredible discussion. I think the question that I, wanted to kind of have some guidance, Dan, is, when we talk about using AI in coaching, are we talking about replacing the individual or use it as an accessory? Like, for instance, I will do research, that kind of stuff. And but I would like to, just to get a sense of, what do we mean by using AI in coaching, or could it mean different things?
Yeah, it could definitely mean different things. That's why I really liked how that one article broke it down as like AI supported versus AI augmented versus AI as the coach, because those are really 3 different buckets of ways it can be used. Whereas I think the AI augmented is more for, you still got your individual sessions with clients, but obviously you're not with your client 24/7. So there's still opportunities for the client to engage in between sessions. That's one potential use. There are scenarios where it's being talked about the AI actually being the being the coach itself. I think where I've seen people talk about that, it's often in the context of, a coach can only reach so many people, and you may have an entire organization of people who would all benefit from coaching in some form. So maybe some people get the actual human coach, whereas some people that would only interact with the AI agent. That's what I've seen discussed. And then there's the more using it for basic tasks where it's not the actual coaching, it's more things that support, like writing blogs or writing training modules.
Yeah, but when it replaces the coach, the human it's like the coachee actually generates some questions and the AI coach will answer them, or how does that really work?
Yeah, that's what, at least in theory, how I've seen it proposed. And it's been interesting. I was saying this in one of the breakout sessions. It's been interesting to see long-standing coaching businesses kind of embrace that idea of, I can't be there at all times. So they basically make their they have an entire library of content available, and they use that to inform like the AI agent that's able to interact with clients in between sessions.
Great, thanks.
So there's someone on the phone, area code 605. It ends in 0151.
Hey, it's Barry. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, hi. How's the coffee?
Hi. Yeah, the coffee's great. So I was in the room. The unmute didn't work, so I came back. But I wanted to say, it was an interesting conversation or listening about the different things of AI. The thing that I think AI can help. I heard Dan talk about augmented. And the thing that's missing in AI is there's a human dynamic. And without going into a long thing, there's a study of how different humans communicate. I don't mean what they communicate out of their mouth. I mean, through the emotions and the subliminals is the best way to say it. And I know that as a client, there are times when my coach gets me, but it's not what we're saying. It's the space or the the emotions or whatever. The missing thing that can be the missing thing, I should say, in the fully AI. I just wanted to bring that up and see if anybody had any thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you. Dan, is that something, have you got thoughts about that? Just
Actually, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but then this came up in one of the breakout sessions I was in. I think that's a very real concern that you bring up. Currently, definitely in the current state we're in with the technology, there's no way that any AI agent could replace that human element. So that's largely why I don't think we're anywhere near AI potentially replacing coaches entirely. It's more about replacing the elements of your job that could easily be done by a machine instead. But yeah, there is going to be that human element where when I just think to when I have people I manage on my team, have an emotional breakdown over something, I can't imagine how a computer would react to that.
Hey, just one more thing if I can. Can you hear me, Dan?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, good. I just, two examples. I as my favorite client myself, I had a series of issues. My favorite client. I had some bullying that happened to me and a couple other things, and I was like, God, I need help, and I need it now. And I called around. Nobody was around, so I didn't really do AI, but I just looked at some stuff, and it wasn't. I mean, I got the information, but I really couldn't I was having problems digesting it. A different version of this, quite different, is customer service at the bank or somewhere else. I mean, I had an issue with a doctor's office, but it doesn't matter, customer service. And I know, as an example, if I have a choice of going up to 3 tellers, and this isn't really a bank thing, but let's just say there's 3 people that could help, and I have a choice of which one to go to, depending what my issue is, I might go, it feels like this one might be right. And so it's an interesting piece to the puzzle, the human dynamic. And yet I do see some value or value in the AI space. The one thing we didn't really talk about, and I like to know more about, and I can just listen, is the fully AI, the fully AI coaching without a human. I don't know if anybody talked about that or not. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Barry. Dan, I'll leave space for you if you want to jump in.
Was the question if you've seen cases where AI fully was the coach?
Yeah, I was curious about what you showed as the woman AIMY. And like, I'm not sure what that was meant to be a simulation of. I'm not sure what that was.
I'm trying to remember. I think it's been a while since I looked at it, and it could have easily changed since then, but it was either kind of designed to provide support in between sessions or for be a alternative coach for potentially, like, again, if there's, say, a large organization where there's just too many people that need some sort of coaching and not enough human coaches to go around, sort of an alternative.
Yeah.
So, but I think the industry's still figuring it out, like most industries, how it can best be utilized.
Great. I'm going to go to Edward. Hi, Edward.
Hi. We had a great conversation actually talking about this. Is the coach going to be completely replaced by AI? And I think that we explored is that on the scale of being the AI being the full coach to no AI whatsoever, is that it's not an either or, and our clients will know what kind of experience they want with AI. Some people in the restaurant world will go to a fast food chain. Other people want their bespoke, formal, fine dining experience, And using that metaphor, I think if we identify who our demographic is and how we can use AI appropriately, we can choose how much we want to use AI, it doesn't have to be either or. And that's the conversation that we also had in our breakout room, is that there's full experiences and there are no experiences. We get to decide.
Cool. Thanks. Hi, Heidi.
Unmuted.
Hi.
So this isn't so much the breakout session, but from this conversation, to follow on to Edward's point about our chosen demographic. For those of you that aren't familiar, I'm an internal coach with the federal government as an additional duty. And so what I find interesting about the AI conversations is it's really, I think, beneficial for key sort of business development angles of lead generation, content creators, in between sessions, and tickler follow-up from previous conversations we've had with ICF LA on platforms that we might use for developing an entrepreneurial side of the business. So for me, internally, right, I'm not meeting with clients in between sessions. So there isn't that follow-up. It's incumbent upon them, if they want to be resourceful and whole, to find out what they want to do and how they do it. Now, it's come up in conversations that they might use Gen AI, for example, to do some research if they wanted to look at universities for a program or something but that's on them, how they choose to do it. So that's where it's come up for me. But what I find really interesting is we're kind of dancing around the bottom line where, yes, it's in our coaching practice as a potential value add, but it seems to me to be more on the BD and entrepreneurial side of coaching to kind of maintain relationships. But for me, referrals come through word of mouth, not necessarily through business development, for what that's worth.
Interesting. Thanks, Heidi. Hi, Linda.
Hi there. I wanted to ask Dan, thank you very much, first of all, Tom and Dan. Very excellent job of a topic and presenting today. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And Dan, I wanted to ask you if you would put your contact information in the chat, because I couldn't quite get it all down, and that way we we all have it. And I just had more of an idea than a follow-up question. Is it would be really helpful if we had a list of AI resources and what coaches use them for, and maybe even technology resources. I know that's really broad, like Calendly and everything, and what coaches use them for. So maybe that's a toolkit meeting next year or something like that, where we could actually get a list of things. Because sometimes you're looking for something, and you know, there's so many AI things out there, and we're not familiar with the names. It would be great to have an AI coaching list of what it is and what it's used for. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Linda. And I just want to say there's lots of stuff going on in the chat today. Just as a callback, there's a bit of a change of subject. In the chat, if you scroll up, is the pricing survey link. If you haven't completed it, please do. It would be so helpful to have more data for that report. Also, there's a link to the Google resources, which is the, you know, it's just a shared drive that we've been building for our 7 years. All kinds of stuff in there for you. There's something in there called capturing data during interviews. It's got some AI tools in it. And I wonder whether also what Linda just suggested, the beginning of a kind of resource base for us, I think it's partly happening in the chat. If you have something that you use already, put it in the chat and share it with us. That would be great. And then at the end, we'll all share it. We'll all save our chats. Good morning, Susan. Nice to see you.
Hi, how are you? How are you, Tom?
I am good.
So I am subcontracting with a company. I will not name it. And, you know, much as coaches, they hire coaches and they go out and get contracts for working with big companies. And they are starting to test or pilot an AI bot for coaching. And of course, the coaches were pretty upset about it. So what they did was they offered those of us who are leaders, we have pod leaders in this group, and I'm a pod leader. They paid for us to take the Google's Essential course that's offered through Coursera. And I can't say I'm any more comfortable with it, but I did learn some of the fundamentals and how to engineer a prompt, and that you need a person in the loop and all the important things that are pretty fundamental with getting back good results. But what's interesting is their theory is that right now it's hard to find they're having a hard time getting one-on-one coaching contracts. And so they think they can go into a company and it's kind of a teaser offer for their maybe middle managers, not their executives, this opportunity to coach with a bot. And they haven't launched it yet, but they're working on it. So those of us who are thinking it's not coming, it's coming. And being someone who was in higher ed and a graphic designer very early on in my life, I remember when we saw the laser writer come out, we said, oh, that's going to go away. You know, we can ignore that. And guess what? Those designers who thought we can ignore the laser writer, you know, lost their jobs. So I think it is something we do need to think seriously about and figure out how it can augment what we're doing and how we can make it work for us, because it's not going to go away. So.
Susan, I'm not sure I heard you right, but it seemed that you implied they had tried something and it didn't work.
No, they are piloting it.
I got
it. They're going to try it out for their, you know, for managers or for some of their clients that have a staff that's not their executive staff, but maybe their line managers or something. But the idea that it's a teaser, that it might then say, okay, this is great. We want real coaches now.
There you go. Tidy sales funnel.
Or we create second-class citizens for coaching. You get the AI, and those who they choose get real coaches.
Well, my experience is there's all kinds of tiers of coaching. I mean, from, you know, Better Up and Torch and all that, all the way up to people who I couldn't afford to hire them. You know, I think it's just true that there's high end and middle, and yeah, I think that is the nature of our business. Walid, hi.
Hello, that's a very interesting topic, and I'm glad with the breakout room we had a discussion, and we kind of have agreement very much that we can use AI for admin work, you know, to assist with maybe typing, recording videos, and so on. And I posted a question on the chat if there are any tools that can generate videos, you know, of your face, because most the tools I use like have like an avatar or something. So wondering if we have any experience anyone would like to share? Thank you.
Yeah, I saw your request for that. That's really interesting and a little creepy, but I'm really curious to hear about it. I really am.
Actually, on my website, I did generate a couple videos with different language, with synthesia. I mean, I forget the full name, but anyway, that was very powerful, but it's not me, right? It's not authentic. So I would like to plug in my picture and do edits and stuff because it's very daunting job. Recording video is one of my time-consuming thing. Thanks.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. This whole idea of I can't remember, Dan. It was somewhere in your slideshow where somebody said, "Oh, it's Fran Drescher, the president of Screen Actors Guild," who said, "We don't know what's real anymore." It's like, no, we don't. Yeah. Galen, hello.
Just to insert a little comment here that I talked about a little bit in our breakout room was this idea of replacing coaches with AI coaches. One way to look at it is just that the word coach is a marketing branding term. If the word was just switched to something other than coach, and then there was a distinction made between a coach and whatever this tool is, I think that would have a lot of benefits, not only to the coaches that are, have put their life's work and continue to put their life's work into this, but also as a consumer myself. Just basically the only kind of marketing that really works on me, and I think a lot of consumers out there these days, because they get so much coming at them, is someone that's willing to level with them. Somebody that's willing to say, look, this is what this does. This is how it helps you. And if they also level with, like, this is not the same as a human being, there'd be faster adoption of that rather than someone trying to, once again, get over on you and trick you into thinking this is the same as a regular coach. So I think there's benefits on either end, both for the people selling it, the people buying it, and coaches as a whole, to just having a distinguishing term for its own specific marketing for what something is, rather than using the blanket term coach, which I think is a short-term, got some short-term benefits, but it's in the long term doesn't really help you as a company selling or anything else. That's my 2 cents.
As you were talking, it reminded me of an old saying, which is, it certainly was true in my community as an actor. If you can fake sincerity, you've got it made, right? So, listen, I've got a question, something that I just want to share, and then Dan, I'm going to ask it of you as a question. I was introduced probably 6 months ago to a website called perplexity.com. And it is I have found it to be an extremely sophisticated search engine that talks back it's not in the kind of Google results we're used to, but it talks back in plain English. It has links. It doesn't hallucinate. It's been transformative in my life in all kinds of ways. So by the way, perplexity.com, I just want to say, go give it a shot. It's been amazing for me. My question to you, Dan, is, as I use that, I know that it is driven by AI, right? It's large language model, but that doesn't mean that I am using AI. I'm just using a search engine, right? This is not really me using AI. That's something different. Am I correct?
Can you elaborate on that? How different in what way?
Yeah.
Well, in other words, I'm beginning to think from what you've said today that, especially around generative AI, it is generating answers for me, but it is not creating anything. It's actually just responding to a search request. It doesn't make me more fluent in AI, I'm thinking. Having listened to you today, I think I've been kind of imagining that, oh, well, because I know how to use Perplexity, I know how to use AI, but I'm beginning to think maybe that's not true.
I think I'd still characterize that as using AI. It's, I think it gets back to the points that Ethan Mollick makes in that book, Co-Intelligence. I think there's a little bit more of an art to using these newer AI tools than there is for like a traditional Google search query. and how you can like generate useful results is more of a skill with newer AI tools than it would have been in the past. But I would still characterize it as using AI.
Okay. And I saw Hugo wrote GPS is AI. It's like, oh yeah, okay.
Tom, I have a question.
Yes.
I have a
Patricia.
question. My hand thing isn't, my Zoom is messed up, so I
I'm
can't.
glad you just jumped in.
Yeah. So the quick question, when we put, for Dan, if we put something that we've created into AI, for example, I'm in the pre-publication phases of a book, and it was suggested to me by a colleague that because I have to create the words that should go into an index for my nonfiction book, that I put my book in AI and ask it to create the words that I should have in the index. And of course, it could create the whole index, obviously, but I've already paid somebody for that. But, if I put my book in and I say, please create an index for this book, does my book then go out there and anybody could access it before I publish it?
Yeah, so I'm really glad you asked this because this is one thing I'd wanted to incorporate. I do caution people about things they need to be aware of when they're using these tools, and one of which is that I think it's best to assume that when you enter information into one of these tools, assume that the company then has access to all that information. Even if, depending on the arrangement, like if this came up in one of the breakout sessions, that maybe you're working for a company that has some sort of partnership with OpenAI and there may be some agreement about what people have access to. That may be a different scenario, but especially if it's just you yourself, I would err on the side of caution and assume that then they have access to all of it, and who knows how it's being used. Because this is an area that's definitely evolving. How companies can use exactly what rights does the original content creator have. This is a very controversial topic that's going to evolve over time. So when it comes to something like that, I would be a little bit cautious with how much information you're entering, especially if it's like a book draft that's in progress as opposed to something that's already been published.
Wow, that's so helpful, Patricia, because as you were telling the story, I was thinking, that's brilliant. Of course you would do that. And then Dan, your answer was like, oh.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Dan, specifically, I think to this OpenAI, the paid version, you have specific privacy settings that you can direct certain conversations to be deleted and forget. And on the T's and C's tells you they have no rights to that information. But obviously, with a lot of mishaps that we know, things still could happen, but at least from legal contractual reasons, they are creating, even for public versions, the paid, that you will have that kind of negotiation by clicking and opting out stuff.
If you trust that, right? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, Jenny. Hey, Christoph, we've got like 1 minute. Can you hop in?
I just wanted to chime in into your question, Tom. I think the way I would think about using AI is the prompting is very important in which direction you send the AI. No different than a leader training an intern. If you're not being very prescriptive, you're not getting the best output. So I would say you are using AI. The more you prompt it and the more you adapt the question to the outcome.
And I have learned to do that, and the results have been really amazing. It has really changed everything I'm doing. Listen, I want to encourage everybody to save your chat. There's lots there. Also, once you get your closing code, you can get your CCEs. I see everybody like looking, going, save the chat. How do I do that? Okay, we're going to do the closing code. I'm going to remind you that in your chat is the pricing survey link, the Google Shared Drive link, and our next date is September 13th to talk about pricing. Can't wait to see you all there. It's so great. Dan, cannot thank you enough. I mean, you really changed the day and made a difference for us. So thank you so much. Thanks for being with us. And yeah, thanks, Dan. Thank you all for being here. I'm with you, Edward. Yeah. Have a great August. See you in September.